and welcome to another episode of the Binding of Isaac Antibirth. So this one is going to be a little bit different than the previous one. I know the previous one had some audio issues. I'm not exactly sure why though. I've had some audio problems when Antibirth is running, so I'm not sure if that's causing the problems, but this one's going to be a little bit different just because the voiceover is actually being added after the video was already done. I shot these videos, or recorded these videos rather, while I was visiting my parents. So I don't really remember what happened, but I figured I would voice over them and talk through them and, you know, let you know how my vacation went and talk about some other things, and any kind of decisions I make on the video we can discuss a little bit as well and try and make sense of maybe some of the decisions, ooh, can't talk today, that I decide to make. So we ended up with Maggie starting out for this one. Pretty easy first room, nothing too complicated here. And we're playing on hard as usual. I don't believe I did super well in this run if I can remember correctly, but I don't really know. So, get a little unlucky. Second room ends up being a boss fight or a mini boss room, but it's less, so it's not overly complicated. Obviously, as you can see, we're just running around in circles here and landing a few shots here and there, so end up with a pill. I think I decided to take the pill right now. I'm thinking about it. I'm like, health down. Obviously not what I'm looking for there, but it happens, unfortunately. So, yeah, I happened to have my laptop with me while I was in Virginia visiting my parents, and so I decided to go ahead and get a couple games in, and there were a couple other videos I wanted to upload and finish while I was there, and some I did, and I just never uploaded. Others I just completely turned down entirely because I wasn't happy with the quality. So right here, because I have the item that gives me back health, I decided, you know what, I'm willing to risk a couple hearts to see if I can get a drop out of the sacrificial room here. I thought about using it again and taking it down to 1 heart, but I just didn't want to risk it at that moment, and I recognized the rainbow poop, but I hold off on it for right now. So I figure, you know, it's the first floor, might as well be a little aggressive and try and put the odds in our favor here. That's how it goes sometimes for the first floor. You need to be a little aggressive and try and make opportunities wherever you can. So happy to get to the item room here, though I don't recall what exactly is in it off the top of my head here. Okay, so we get stem cells, so it gives us some more health, so obviously pretty happy with that. Definitely gives me more chances to go back to that sacrificial room and see if I can make anything out of it. So far, pretty easy first floor. Nothing overly complicated or difficult. So I think I filmed maybe 6 or 7 different Isaac runs while I was down there, and I'll likely be voicing over all of those moving forward. And I was supposed to upload a couple other videos. I just never really got around to it, or just wasn't feeling like doing all the work while I was supposed to be technically on vacation, so I opted not to do it at the time. But now I'm back and ready to go. Let's see. So I ended up spending the last week in Belize, traveling with my girlfriend and her family. So we were there for a week, staying at her uncle's place. Beautiful country, I will say. Got to fly in really small airplane to jump from the main island to San Pedro, and then we went snorkeling and skydiving and just kind of hung out and enjoyed the weather. It was beautiful there, although it was windy pretty much every single day. Pretty much every day. I'm thinking, well, I think initially right here I was thinking if I could go through that room at the top, and I obviously can't because I don't have the spirit heart, so I'm going to go back to the sacrifice room now. So I've got 3 hearts. I know the rainbow poop is there, so I think I'm going to go back. I'm going to sacrifice. No, I don't. So I would say that's probably a bad move. I would have been better off sacrificing 2 hearts and then using the rainbow poop. Instead, I opted to sacrifice 4, so that really could have made the difference between getting something there and not getting something, and I had a key, so a gold chest really could have paid out there. So that was definitely a misplay on my part. I think about going to the shop, but I'm not going to go to the shop. I only have 1 key, 6 cents. I don't have a bomb to get all the rest of the money, so it's not worth it. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the next floor. All right. So now that I'm back in and catching back up on videos, Outlast 2 came out. I was watching some gameplay for that. Not enough to really spoil anything for myself, but just enough to really see what everybody's thinking and how they feel about it. And it looks pretty good so far, so I plan on playing that soon. I know Little Nightmares, I believe is what it's called, came out recently as well, and I'd seen that game previously and it looked really good. So right there I got a telepills. I used it. I hate using telepills, but you know, I wanted to go ahead and use it, see what it was. Mom's Eye, which is shots from the back of the head, which is not particularly useful, I feel like. Now that I know that telepills is available though, if I find one, I'm thinking I'm going to hold on to it, try and use it at the end of a floor so I can get to a glitch room potentially, get some extra items or money or whatever the case may be. So what I could really use right now is damage, a little bit more damage. I did get the meat. I can't remember exactly what the name of it is, but I did get the meat, which is a health and damage up, although the damage up isn't significant. So, but I am looking for a little bit more damage. Try and make these rooms go by a little bit quicker. I was looking for a attentive rock there, but didn't see anything. Health down, I'm actually going to hold on to. My health gets into a really bad situation. The health down turns into a full health, if I remember correctly. So that definitely comes in handy, and I see a attentive rock in here. I'm not sure if I actually end up seeing it. I do, but I don't have a bomb. Danced around trying to use it, didn't have a bomb, so I had to walk away. Definitely not getting a lot of bombs this run so far. Really unfortunate. So yeah, we went snorkeling. We spent actually a whole day. It took about 2 hours on a boat to get to another island. And then we were with, I think it was 12 people, give or take, and they were diving. A lot of them were diving. I can't dive. I've never tried diving, so I don't have any of the equipment anyway, so I opted to go snorkeling instead. So we did 3 different spots where we snorkeled around the reef, and it was beautiful. A lot of fish. We caught some lionfish, which they ended up making into ceviche on the boat, which was delicious, and then we actually had some left over that we ended up having for dinner later that night. So it was very cool. Several of the areas that we were at for the snorkeling, you could touch the reef, so we had to be really, really careful not to touch the reef. We didn't want to damage it, obviously, and then some of it was fire coral, and we didn't want to mess with that, so we had to be pretty careful. There were quite a few corridors where it's reef on both sides that we had to swim through, and we saw various different types of fish and jellyfish, lionfish. I think some people saw lobsters, but not a ton of lobsters. I heard that they typically come out at night. No sharks. Didn't see any sharks. So nothing too crazy. Did see some manta rays, although not while snorkeling. Saw manta rays when we were skydiving, actually, because the water's so clear out beyond the, like out near the reef and beyond, that you can see the fish. So we could see groups of manta rays actually swimming while we were coming down. So pretty incredible stuff. I think those are really the 2 main things that we did while we were there. A lot of the other stuff was just enjoying the food and family and friends and just kind of spending our time relaxing, which was nice. Oh, mysterious item. Aries, ramming speed, definitely still not what I'm looking for. I'm still looking for some more damage, or just about anything I feel like would have been a little bit of a better option than Aries there, but it is what it is, I suppose. So let's see, we'll continue on. It hasn't been a particularly challenging run so far, as you can tell. I feel like just watching it back over, I don't really exactly remember what happens, but I feel like if I don't get some damage, it could end up being a particularly difficult run later on down the road, but we'll see what happens. So we tried some of the local food. One thing I thought was pretty interesting is there's not a lot of cars on the island. Basically everybody drives a golf cart. The very few cars that you see are taxis. Most people don't own their own vehicles, so it's either dirt bikes or golf carts for the most part that you end up seeing on the actual island, which I thought was pretty neat. My girlfriend was excited to drive the golf cart around pretty much every opportunity she had. So here I finally get to blow up a tented rock, get a bomb back out of it, and a spirit heart, so pretty good exchange. Thinking about the sacrifice room, but I just don't want to do it. So we're going to move on. And then we're going to fight the boss here, I assume. I don't think there's anything else that I really want to go explore. I'm looking for a super secret room. No luck, and I wasted that bomb, so I probably shouldn't have done that. When you have one bomb, I don't know. Personally, I probably should have held on to that a little bit longer for a tented rock on another floor. So I feel like that was a bit of a mistake. Wasn't thinking clearly. Although I will say, when I was playing this, I'd already had a couple beers that day. Had just traveled down to Virginia. Was it the same day? I can't remember. We had either traveled down to Virginia this day. No, this was the day after. So I'd arrived the day before. So yeah, I was kind of tired from traveling still. So I'd had a couple beers. So who knows? Maybe my decision making wasn't exactly on point here. Alright. Easy boss. Nothing super exciting. I think we get Bandage Boy. I remember being pretty upset initially at this because I should have known it was Bandage Boy. I mean, how could I should have known. It's going to be Bandage Boy or Meat Cube, right? Because of the boss. So I initially was like, oh, so excited. And I took it and I was like, eh. So I'm thinking 2 of hearts, health down. What am I going to take? Health down is a full health if I really need it. 2 of hearts is just some health. Alright, now that I know what this room is, I know the pattern to get through it, so. And we ended up getting Book of Sin, which is significantly better than Yum Heart, in my opinion. Since you can get Spirit Hearts and all kinds of other stuff, and you just never know. Another mini boss. Takes too much time. It's nice to finally be home after so much traveling. The days of flying, we had 3 flights, 1 off the island, and then 1 back to Atlanta, and then 1 back to Baltimore, and it took about 12 hours. I think it was about a 12-hour travel day when it was all said and done. Ooh. That felt pretty close. I always have a love-hate relationship with this style of room. I've played the game enough to know what my options are here, but you can still take damage, and it's a little frustrating. So one thing that's pretty exciting that I spent probably way more time than I should have this past week is looking at computer parts. So right now, I'm fairly happy with my computer. To be completely honest, I'm not happy with my processor, and I haven't been happy with my processor for some time. I have a FFXIII AMD processor. It's old, outdated, but it's cheap, so I give it that. The problem is I have a GTX 980 Ti for my video card, and it's very likely that my processor throttles that thing and doesn't really allow it to get to its full potential. So I've been thinking with Ryzen coming out, I've been holding off on it for a long time because I didn't want to switch to Intel until I saw what Ryzen was going to offer, and now that Ryzen's out and it seems to be doing pretty well, I'm kind of on the fence between either going with Ryzen or going with Intel. Either way, I have to get a new motherboard and new RAM if I decide to do either one. So I spent a lot of time reading reviews and looking at benchmarks and really comparing a lot of it, and I think I've opted to go with the 1700 over the next couple weeks, maybe. Couple weeks, I'll probably finally bite the bullet and get an X370 motherboard and a 1700 and probably some 3200 megahertz RAM, since the RAM speed will actually help with gaming. It actually improves your FPS a little bit. So been spending a lot of time shopping for that, looking at parts, looking at compatibility, making sure everything that was, you know, on point and would work out fine, and looking at pricing, and a lot of time doing that this week. So, but I think I finally narrowed it down to what I really want. Just need to bite the bullet and actually do it. I played with the idea of getting RGB RAM for a little bit, but I think I've opted not to. Primarily just because I'm only going to get 2 sticks. I'll probably be at 16 gigs, so I'm only going to have 2 sticks of RAM, and I just don't find it... I don't know, I don't find it visually appealing to have 2 sticks of RAM that just have RGB. It doesn't seem like a good mix for me. So, if you have built your own computer, you know, let me know in the comments what you have. If you have the 1700, I'd love to hear what you think of it. If you've had any issues with it, I know it will boost up to 3.7. I'll probably push mine to 3.9, maybe 4 if I can make it work, but I know some people have had mixed results with that so far. Oh, I hate this. I hate these new spiders that shoot those constant stream of bullets. There are some rooms that those really make it difficult for me. One thing that's back into the game here, one thing, I got the penetrative shot, and I think it was shot speed, Sagittarius, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm happy with the penetrative shot. I always like that, but it's pretty painful that I don't have any damage. I think my damage is still relatively weak right now. 1 tick, maybe 2. I think it's 2. So the no damage is really a pain, but I do have ball bandages, which I could use for damage if I really need to, if I felt comfortable enough being aggressive and getting in there for the damage. But I try and stay away from that style of play, because oftentimes I end up really hurting myself or nearly killing myself. Here's the Q-bones. They always are looking to ruin my day, especially when they take 4 hits? Is that what that took? I think it took 4 each. I've got a gold key, so I figure might as well go in here. I'm going to pick up all these books just out of habit, because I want to get them out of the rotation, because I don't know. I could end up later in the game on the golden chest, and there could be pedestals where books would be, but because I took some of them out of the rotation, I can get new items. So I always try and take that stuff out of the rotation if I can. Here I'm looking to pop these guys over the holes on the floor to hopefully get the spiders to fall into the holes so I don't have to fight them. It worked for the first one, but the other 3 I had to inevitably end up fighting myself. I get a bomb back from the Book of Sin, so I think, okay, well, I'll try it again. I'm thinking over here. Safety cap. Don't swallow it. I believe that has to do with pills. But I don't have a trinket anyway, so I'm going to pick it up regardless. I can't believe I took damage there. I should know better. Overall, easy boss, though. Definitely could have been a lot worse. And so far, this run is okay. It's nothing spectacular, and I'm feeling like I'm really going to have to work for it if I want to win this one. I'm going to have to get some... good items. I'm thinking I'm going to kill him with a ball of bandages. So I end up with caffeine pill. Definitely not what I'm looking for, and I'm thinking, you know what? Let's go down to the next area. I need to try and find something, make something happen. Maybe this will be a little bit better, have a little bit more luck associated with it. So I decide, you know what? Let's go. I'm all in at this point. I'm thinking about the sacrifice room, and I opt to go in, and I'm pretty happy with it, all in all. As you can see, there was a moment of indecision there as I'm trying to figure out, do I really want to go in there? I'm not too thrilled with this room. These bats are kind of annoying, and so I end up taking 2 hits. One obviously kills everything except for that one spider. End up with a range up. Not terrible, but definitely not what I'm looking for. I'd be happy with a pretty fly or something along those lines. One thing that's interesting now that I'm looking at it is there's a 2-block gap where those pills just landed, so I feel like, can you even get to that? If you don't know, like if you can't fly, can you even reach that? I'm not sure. Not sure. Ouch. Took another hit, so my black hearts are gone, but I get a spirit heart back, and then 48-hour energy, 2 of them, so you can imagine I'm gonna be sitting here with Book of Sin for a few minutes, trying to see what I can get. Another black heart. Don't know what that is. Are you a wizard? So not too thrilled about that. I'm gonna opt for Spoonbender every time here. Jar of Tears is horrible. There is a tinted rock in that previous room, or in the item room, but I don't have a bomb anyway, so I can't do anything with that. I probably should have just waited for Are You a Wizard to wear off so I could shoot normally, but I figure what the heck, I'm just gonna go for it. And I'm getting beaten up a little bit by this guy. I'm really trying to get him to hit this tinted rock now, and I keep timing it incorrectly, and I can't get out of the way in time, and it's hurting. I take way more damage there than I really should have. I do get a tinted or a spirit heart out of the rock though, so that's great, but I can't take that much damage. Health down is not what I'm looking for. And I'm not feeling super confident right now. I don't have good damage, and I'm slowly taking a lot more hits as the enemies are a little bit more challenging in this area. I've got 4 keys, so I probably should have done the double key room at this point. I obviously don't opt to do that. I can't remember if I'm gonna do that if I get through this room, but thinking back on it, I probably should have gone ahead and done it. The homing shots definitely make things a little bit easier, especially since I have Mom's Eye, so that actually pays off a little bit since I can shoot behind me as well. Downside is though, as we've talked about, I don't have any damage. It takes so long to do anything. I took 2 hits there, 3 hits, oh my goodness. So it's definitely looking pretty rough right now. I end up getting a card. I absolutely need that, so I'm thinking I'll buy this. Buy this, use this for 2 more, and then I'm at 3, so puts me in a good position. There's very, very little chance that I'm going to get a double deal on this with all the damage I've taken, especially red heart damage. So I just need to protect myself at this point and try and stay alive. Oh, this is a nasty room, just because now I'm stuck in a corridor and I can't really go anywhere without taking damage. Stuck between the 2 shots, and then I see there are more up there, and they're closing in, and oh my goodness. These guys really they beat me up here. Got a spider here with a rock, and he moved a little bit quicker than I anticipated, and my reaction time was obviously not on point right there. Alright. So we're still alive, but it's looking grim, you could say. Looking grim. I took a hit there. I almost took a hit there, but it looks like Ball of Bandages saved me. I wanna get out of this room really badly. Oh my goodness, I took another hit, so. Okay. I think at this point I was pretty nervous. I really want that tinted rock. I could also really use the half heart. It could go a long way here, so I'm getting kind of nervous about the decision to come down here. I knew the enemies could be a little bit more difficult, but I was hoping that I could make my own luck and you know, just get some better results. The problem is that I'm noticing now is that when they pop from the rocks, they move a little quick after the initial rock destruction, and that definitely made things difficult. So I'm thinking I have 2 bombs. I have to go for this now. Hopefully I can get this and the heart. I'm like, okay, I see the spider, so hopefully I can get a tinted heart out of this, or a spirit heart. I do. I get the half a heart, although if I didn't take damage earlier, I'd be in a better spot. I'm like, I don't know what this button does, so I'm gonna hit it. Doesn't do anything crazy, so I'm good. And now we're stuck fighting this guy, which I'm not a fan of this boss. This is probably my 3rd time fighting this boss, and it is a painful boss to fight because it takes so much time to get through. Look at this, it's just enemies. I do barely any damage throwing all these bombs. Some of the bombs have wings. More enemies and shots. I forgot what those do, and then I'm gonna take damage here. And I'm trying to remind myself, okay, I need to watch out for those bombs and the lasers. See a bomb there, I almost get hit by, and I see this bomb flying around, being pretty mean to me. So it's not going too well right now. And you see how long it's taking to make this work. I mean, this is going to be a 5-minute fight at this point. Assuming I stay alive, but I don't really have a lot of health to to give up for this, so I need to just kind of keep going through it. I took more damage there, which is unfortunate. So I can take about 2 more hits depending on what the hits are. Now I can take 1 more hit here. I'm like, is it here? Okay, so I was right that time as far as where I need to position myself, and I'll have to keep that in mind in the future. I feel like you really need to get bomb positioning in place for this boss so he can take a little... Oh, he didn't even take damage from his own bomb, so that's unfortunate. So he's a little frustrating, and there it is. Just like that, I took 1 hit and I died. So, but thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of this this gameplay, I should say. And if you want to see some more Isaac in the future, feel free to like and subscribe to follow. And until next time, take care.